Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the last wrestling podcast. Because if I have a wrestling podcast, it means that absolutely everybody else in the known galaxy has one as well, including you, and yours probably gets a lot more views than mine. I normally try to keep these videos, podcasts, whatever the heck they are, a good mix of positive and negative, calling proverbial balls and strikes as I see them. Because if you're too positive all the time, people find you annoying. But if you're too negative all the time, your channel eventually implodes in spectacularly public circumstances. Elephant. Unfortunately, that balance will not be possible this time because I'm doing the mandatory compliment to my video on my 10 favorite wrestling belts. Link in the description below. My 10 least favorite wrestling belts. I'm sticking to the same rules as last time, with one exception that will be made apparent a little bit later. No more than 2 belts per promotion, no personal titles. On that note, a dishonorable mention to the Jeff Hardy belt from TNA, which is easily the ugliest excuse for a championship belt I have ever seen, but is not eligible for this list on a technicality. With that said, let's get started.
Number 10, Lucha Underground Championship, first belt.
This belt takes the number 10 spot because it was never really designed to be the championship of the promotion. Looking, quite frankly, cheap and fake, it was only there to be torn in half by Cage, which he did not long after the belt was awarded to Prince Puma after the first Aztec Warfare match. The second belt looks a lot better, and the tearing of the title led to an interesting plot-significant comment from Dario Cueto, quote, "The Aztec gods won't be pleased about this," end quote, indicating that there are higher forces at work watching over the temple and those who compete within. The first belt was a rubbish title that was soon consigned to the dumpster where it belonged.
Number 9, all silver belts.
This is where I'm going to cheat. Not so much a single belt, but a trait among several titles that I find unacceptable. Thanks mainly, I think, to the Olympics, gold is the internationally recognized color of a champion. Silver is the internationally recognized color of second place. If the main color of your belt is silver, you are saying that this is a second place trophy. The championship is the MacGuffin of your story, so why devalue it as soon as the audience sees it? Of special note was the Mark Henry version of the WWE ECW belt. If there were any lingering doubts whatsoever of how WWE saw their own brand, this squashed every last one of them.
Number 8, IWGP Intercontinental Championship, first belt.
The 10 yen coin belt, as Nakamura Shinsuke so eloquently put it. This was the first attempt by New Japan Pro Wrestling to create essentially a Gaijin belt, a title specifically to be contested mainly among foreign wrestlers. While this xenophobic premise was quickly dropped, the IC title proved to be mostly a lower mid-card waste of time until Nakamura stapled it to his waist and made people care. A large part of that elevation was dumping this flat, dull blob of bronze. If silver is bad, bronze is worse. It proved that nobody cared about this thing. Fortunately, it's long gone, and New Japan Pro Wrestling is proving that it is possible to have too many belts, yet somehow make it work.
Number 7, TNA Legends / Global / Television / is that belt still around? Championship.
The design for this belt is fine. It looks nice. There's nothing wrong with the red strap. It looks expensive. It's distinct from all the other belts in TNA at the time. It's fine. What's offensive about this particular title is that it represents the single biggest screw-up in TNA history. I am dead serious on that. Fight me. Okay, what the TNA Legends Championship was originally advertised as was a belt specifically for legends. For legends, read old guys and WWE cast-offs, to fight for. This would have gotten those people out of the World Heavyweight title picture and opened the main event up to younger, better, and most importantly, homegrown TNA talent. Every so often, you could have someone like AJ Styles, Abyss, or James Storm claim to be a TNA legend or a modern-day legend and challenge for the belt, but it would mostly be for an occasional nostalgia match on pay-per-view. Not only would this have helped kill TNA's well-earned reputation as wrestling's retirement home, it would have allowed them to advertise themselves as the company that respects and reveres wrestling history, as opposed to WWE, who run from and desperately try to rewrite history. But no. The same night the title is introduced, all the old WWE/WCW guys form the Main Event Mafia faction and proceed to dominate the main event scene for about a year, with the Legends title basically being a piece of Booker T's costume. Opportunity officially wasted. By the time the Main Event Mafia angle had run its course, the Legends concept was unsalvageable. They tried to rebrand the belt several times with less and less success each time. I think it was because they spent a lot of money on the belt and felt they had to do something with it, which is kind of a sunk cost fallacy if you ask me.
Number 6, WOW Championship.
Yes, this was a thing. Women of Wrestling, or WOW, was what David McLean thought up after Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, went belly up. Unlike Glow, WOW actually had a championship belt. And it's one of the wimpiest things I have ever seen in my life. Looking like it was made of tin stapled to a strap of purple leather, that, credit where due, did fit the color scheme of the promotion, and looking like something a backyard wrestling group made in their garage. I kind of think they put it on Terry Gold, because most of the other women would have snapped the thing in half by accident.
Number 5, WCPW Championship.
No, not that one. Not the cardboard one. That had style, originality, and represented the inherent ridiculousness of a wrestling promotion hosted by and starring YouTubers as much or more than actual wrestlers. I'm talking about the, quote, legitimate, end quote, belt that they started using as soon as they could afford to make it. The company logo slapped on another freaking silver belt. I'm sorry, these guys knew their wrestling. They should have known better than this.
Number 4, WCW United States Championship.
Okay, can someone please tell me what's so United States about this belt? That teeny tiny flag that isn't even the real US flag? The image of an eagle that you can barely see? Or the fact that most of the people who held it never had health insurance? In a company known for generic-looking championships in general, more on that later, this one stands out as a particularly egregious example when over-the-top, in-your-face, bold, proud symbolism is as quintessentially American as apple pie and school shootings. When the WWE version of your belt looks better, you know you've screwed up. When the Japanese version of your belt looks better, it's easy to see why you went out of business. Warning! This is now the part where mainstream wrestling fans are going to get pissed off at me. I don't care, but I thought I'd give any WWE loyalists out there the opportunity to stop the video now if you don't want me trashing your favorite belts. You have been warned.
Number 3, WWE Championship Spinner Belt.
Not exactly going against consensus here, am I? It looked fine for John Cena. It fit the rapper gimmick that he had at the time, as did his spinning US title belt. But when, unlike the US title, they didn't switch back to the old belt as soon as Cena lost it, we all should have been worried. Not only did they not switch back to the old title, they kept this gaudy, pretentious waste of money for nearly 10 flipping years. Everyone hated this, and so do I. But it's not quite bad enough to get it into the top 2.
Number 2, WWE Undisputed Championship.
Much like the TNA Legends title, this design is fine. Just fine. My problem with this belt can be summed up in 3 words. It's too small. This single championship belt was meant to represent the unification of the WWF and WCW titles, the end of the last wrestling war, the creation of the first truly undisputed champion America had seen in decades. Okay, technically the NWA title was and still is around, but come on. And it's smaller than either of the belts it replaced? Heck, I think it might have been smaller than the IC title at the time. Inflate this belt up to grown-up sizes, and you have a world beater. It's a great design. But as it stands, the one thing about the spinner belt is that it got rid of this piece of junk.
Number 1, WCW World's Heavyweight Championship, the Big Gold Belt.
Hold on! Put down your torches and pitchforks and let me explain. First off, I'm counting this as a WCW title because that's where it originated, got its nickname, and even when it was being used by WWE as the world title, everybody still thought of it as the WCW Championship. Don't lie, you know you did too. Why do I hate this belt more than any other? Because, despite being one of the most recognizable belts in history, it's just plain dull. A big, round, shield-shaped splat of gold. No design to speak of, no style, no finesse, no sense of grandeur, no sense of importance, nothing. Now, sure, if you get a really close-up look at it, the detailing is gorgeous, and clearly a lot of work went into making it, but you almost never get that close look. From far away, whether that be the hard camera or the back row, all that intricate detailing just disappears and blends into the background. Add in the fact that WCW was pre-HD quality television, and the belt somehow looks even worse. It's plain, it's ugly, it's dull, it's the worst belt in the history of wrestling, and now you've learned that I can make a video shorter than 30 minutes. See you next time.